Hey, it's Dorr and Coach, and we're back with part 2 of our plate carrier video. In the previous video, we covered Coach starting in the 80s all the way up to the kickoff of GWOT and a couple years into it. And that, coincidentally, is right where my journey began. So stay tuned. Hey guys, today's video is brought to you by TacPack. TacPack is a subscription-based box company that sends out a box once a month with pre-selected items from EDC, survival, and tactical realm. So holidays are right around the corner. You know, this is a good idea for that somebody who's into this kind of stuff. You don't quite know what to get. Also, if you remember to use the coupon code TACHYVE at checkout, the guys at TacPack will send out a $75 USA-made AR part. All right, let's get to the video.
I'd buy that.
All right, guys, so welcome back. This will be part 2 of our plate carrier video. We left off with Coach invading Iraq. And around that same time, I was going through the schoolhouse. I was actually in first phase when the invasion kicked off. But a little bit after that, when I got to SQT, the first time I ever wore body armor was we showed up to the CQB training, if you can call it that. It was very rudimentary. But they just had a pile of the old Woodland, like early GWOT era body armor and helmets. Like literally just in a pile. And when it was your turn to go in the house, you just walked up, put the stuff on, got in the train and like, all right, go. And then off and you went and you know, what happened. But after that, you know, after I got to the team, it's 2004, the MLCS was standard issue. And this is from that initial standard issue that I had. This is the only piece I actually kept. We covered this in a previous video of my Iraq first deployment loadout, but you know, just a chicken plate carrier, nothing fancy. Coach's invasion setup was actually based on this kit, but he just had so much more stuff on it because obviously you were at the very top of the game and I was at the very bottom starting out. So I didn't have as much stuff to put on there. And our missions were frankly different by the time I got in country. But you know, pretty much standard. It would not fit the full wrap, so you would go with just the plate, and then if you wanted to, there were a ton of those crotch protectors that came with every early plate carrier, and inside of that was a small piece of Kevlar, and so you just find those laying around, and you could stuff those up underneath the plate to give yourself that little extra bit of protection. Luckily, I never got shot. So
yeah, they said that you needed that behind it, that this was not a standalone plate, but plenty of guys got hit in that plate and, you know, they're fine. So.
Yeah. We actually received no body armor plate, any kind of training. Like it was just something you got. So my first block of training, my first trip with the team was assaults at Shaw's. And I had no idea what wrap was. I had no idea how any of this stuff works. So all I brought were the plates. And then when we got there, we were briefed, make sure you have to have your 9mm wrap insert behind the plate. And I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know. And none of the other new guys knew, but they just brought everything with them on the trip. I didn't think to bring the plate carrier that I wasn't gonna use, which the stuff came in, which was that old Woodland one. Those were just laying around the team. So anyway, they had somebody go to my locker who hadn't come out yet, grab it and bring it. But yeah,
just so you
definitely need to know.
You could be legal in the house.
Yeah. So I mean, now I know I shouldn't have said anything because nobody was going to shoot me. I could have shot myself at that point, but you know, luckily. So anyway, I used this one through my first and partially into my second deployment, and this stuff is almost over-engineered. It's so tough.
No, it is over-engineered. Honestly, it weighs way more than it needed to.
Yeah, I oftentimes would put just the plate in here, and then I would run it with this. I also got issued this as a new guy. This, believe it or not, came with our PSD, Personal Security Detachment loadout, which was a plainclothes body armor loadout. I think I got issued every single thing 511 made in every single color for that mission, and I never actually did the mission. That was a Baghdad mission. I was out in Al Anbar. But anyway, this, which was supposed to be concealable, how in God's name you're going to conceal this? And you know, this and all that. It's not a concealable.
Especially hot weather.
But it was pressed into service by our guys as a standalone plate carrier. It did need some modifications here and there. It was not designed to hold up to the rigors of war. But, and this isn't the original one. The original one I had actually got stolen. I found this one as a replacement. But you could have the riggers put in a plate carrier specific, because this is like a little strike plate. Your big plates were not going to fit in this. So some guys did have the riggers put in an actual pouch. I used riggers tape and Velcro because that also works.
It's field expedient, but
as things
make friends with your rigger. Yeah,
as things progressed and leadership saw that we were using these, I mean, everybody was using these and pressing them into operational requirement during operations. They went ahead and the Gen 2s came out, and this one was more purpose built. It was for actual military use. This is the Ranger green version. We got issued this one, and we also got issued one that was brown, almost the same brown that like Marines, their gear comes in.
Yeah.
I used the heck out of the brown one and eventually gave it away to a new guy, one of my new guys later on. This was the exact same one, came in green. In the Army, it's known as Ranger green. In the Navy, we just call it maritime.
Why didn't they put any Molly or anything on that? At least,
you know, I asked that same question when they gave it to us. Like, why doesn't it have Molly on it? Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
And they're like, "Shut up, new guy."
Yeah,
and, you know, get in the
basically,
train.
Senior Chief Warcom guy just basically was like, "Shut up, wear your kit over the top of it, or don't wear it at all." And I was like, "Roger that," and I did. But things were evolving. This was definitely more purpose-built. Again, I didn't wear this one that much. I wore the brown one, but they were identical, and I beat the heck out of that one. I wore my AW kit over the top of it. I wore Rhodesians.
That's fairly lightweight
This
as well.
is actually the same Rhodesian that I wore quite a bit. This is Coach's from the previous video that he modified. I never put any plates or anything on it. I would just run the standalones with whatever Rhodesian rig I was going to run. And I did that quite a bit. If you're going to be out in the field for days on end, you know, you might not be able to get away with taking off your plates. You might not be able to get away separating yourself from your comms, but just being able to take off the weight of all the ammo and the grenades and everything else.
You still had your protection, so that
you still had your protection.
That made sense.
And you were, you know, sitting next to your weapon. You were sitting next to your ammo. It was in the vehicle next to you. You know, if you're inside of an armored vehicle, you know, you're going to fight off of the vehicle, that kind of thing. But then again, you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere. If you were anywhere near harm's way or the operational target area, you'd be fully kitted up.
Yeah.
But man, just being able to wear something like this and be able to take off that added weight of the ammo, maybe the water, it really helps when you're out there for days and days on end. But, you know, just something that I kind of picked up along the way. The concealables did start to get more concealable. This is a more modern one. It's just the standalone plate fit in there, nothing else. And I did wear this one. I put the Velcro on here. That's coming off.
Huh?
I told myself I was going to get it stitched up, but I never did. I didn't use this one that much. As end users, we never stopped complaining about things need to be smaller. Things need to be lighter. You need to do a better job. And sometimes they actually listen to us. Not every time, not often. Oddly enough, guns got heavier. But kit did start to get lighter, did start to get better. Again, I put a lot of this added Velcro on here for different reasons. I even threw a little bit across the back for added measure.
Makes you more tactical.
More tactical.
More
you know,
Velcro.
Call
More
signs,
tactical.
glint tape, flags, yada, yada. Comms wires, all that jazz.
At least it doesn't weigh very much when it comes to Velcro.
Moving on, once that MLCS expired, we started getting issued the London Bridge plate carriers. These had been out for a while on the East Coast, but I didn't really start seeing them in any big numbers till towards the end of the 2000s. But I wore the heck out of this. This was a huge step up. You could tell this was created by end users that had actually been overseas. So this one had the dedicated kangaroo pouch, and it was modular. It was all Velcro inside of here, and you can put in these inserts. This one is for 3 AR-15 M4 mags. I've also had them for the 2 7.62 mags or the 4 submachine gun mags. So just depending on the type of platform you're running.
So you're talking around 2005, 6-ish?
Yeah, I wore the MLCS and a couple other little things till 2008. And then when I got back, that's when these started coming out. We really started to see, yeah, 2000, late 2000s, early 2010s is this one. You got issued one in both patterns, the Desert AOR1, which this is, and then the AOR2 Jungle Green one. I never once used the Jungle Green one. I gave it away brand new. I had a couple of the other ones. I ran, you know, different pouches, a Camelback pouch. At one point I had 2 bladder pouches on the back, one for water and one was kind of an arrow quiver for breaching charges. But it just depended on the mission, you know, what are you carrying? Find a place for it after you identify what you're going to be carrying. This also had not 1, but 2 built-in comms pouches. So with the plate carrier and the side...
this one started with the side plates, right?
Yeah, so side plates. We did get issued side plates before these. I never wore them. I never used them. I never cared about them. I did have some of the wrap you could put a side plate in. I just never did. Once these came out, I started using not only the side plates, but pieces of Kevlar that I could fold up and stick in there just for, you know, something, frag.
Yeah, I knew guys that were just taking those pieces of Kevlar and shoving it in there just for the weight. And, you know, you got to balance your threat level to your, you know, the heat level, because you're guaranteed to be a heat casualty if you put too much crap on. So, you know.
And then the dual comms pouches that were internal. This is the first time I ever saw comms pouches that were inside the waistband, which left the molly open for other stuff if need be.
And it was so much smoother. That was like stroke of genius.
There's absolutely no reason you need to touch the radio except the top. So there was no disadvantage to it. Could be a bit uncomfortable. You know, you got to work with your gear and see what works for you. But this was a huge step up, man. I mean, being able to switch out without any pouches on this whatsoever, you could run 3, 2, 3, 4 mags, depending on caliber, and 2 radios. Yeah, and that's without any pouches.
And, you know, something else I just thought I'd mention here is like all the Fastex buckles, all that stuff went away when they figured out that they could Velcro. You get this flap that you can pull up, and then Velcro this on, put it down. And
it's funny you bring that up, because it reminds me that on this plate carrier, the Fastex is on the wrong side. It should be in the front. You imagine wearing this, trying to wear it, and then you got to reach back with all your stuff on to get it buckled. Huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's
huge pain in the ass. You were always getting jocked up, ready to go, and you'd do one of these. You'd swing over and have your buddy clip it for you. Otherwise, you'd be sitting there with your fingertips looking like an idiot. And that's just something that was a total design flaw.
So that was the modification that we made. We pulled all this off.
Oh, you guys, yeah.
Around
I thought about doing it so many times, but again, I didn't. I had so many different kits and I had so many different jobs as a new guy that, I mean, I only wore this thing probably 15 to 20% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, that, and I don't think we had a good enough sewing machine once we got on deployment, and I didn't notice that kind of stuff as a new guy. You don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of an interesting design flaw.
Yeah, and that kind of lent itself to you had to build something specifically for the job. With this setup now, this is a lot more, you know, versatile. You know, you want to set one up. You don't want to be pulling molly, you know, between missions or anything like that. But, you know, you start getting, I don't know how you guys were, but for us, you know, our guys, they get 2, 3, however many of these you needed for whatever jobs you were doing, you could get issued just that piece and set it up, you know, for your particular job if you're a grenadier or breacher or whatnot.
I, for whatever reason, ended up with 2 of these. I had one of the green ones that I've never used, and I never used it because I like this one better. This is basically the same plate carrier. It's just designed for maritime. I already put out a maritime loadout video. Go ahead and check that out if you want to get too far into the weeds with this. But this plate carrier is still set up the same way it was when I was in. I haven't messed with this thing at all. You notice I have a knife in the same place Coach does. That's something that he and I both figured out before we met. I like having the knife right there because it's right there where your hands are, and if you need it real quick to create space or whatever, it's right there. It's also
or cut string.
Yeah, we'll create space so that you can safely cut string. I mean, I'm not going to cut string without the space.
And who knows? There might be
weird.
cake, right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Cheesecake.
There's that.
It's a thing.
That's your speed. So with this one, this is how I had it operationally set up. With the pouches and everything the way it was. I never went the full 9 magazines because I could put 9. You get 2 in each one of these and then 3 across the back. I never did that. I did have the cargo capacity. Generally, up in the front, I would put sniper rifle ammunition. I would put initiators and leads for breaching. If I knew I was going to be doing some shooting, I would bring a fourth extra mag and stick it right here, so it was super fast and easy to get to.
Yeah, the old shit pouch.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I didn't. I only ran the 3 across the kangaroo pouch, and then every once in a while I'd stick another one in there.
Dude, I'm just looking at the material. Look how nice and lightweight that is compared to this. I mean, it's at least twice as thick. I mean, you didn't need all that. But, hey, evolution, right?
And then around the back, had this single bladder pouch. You could go with the actual Camel Black or just go with water, depending on the night. I would do either or. These are just slap charge pouches. You could also put a rolled up flag in there that I did from time to time. I always had the admin pouch. I would generally always have my nods on my person, no matter what time of day it was. If we were stepping off at 8 a.m., it didn't matter. I would still bring them, and extra batteries. Because, man, total game changer. And then along the side, in the side pouches, I didn't run plates. I ran folded up Kevlar, and hopefully that would give me some added protection. But drowning is a problem when you're in a maritime, anytime you're around water, because this stuff is heavy. So, anything I could do to make myself a little bit lighter, I would.
You'd have your water wings on your belt.
Yeah, all that stuff, water wings on belt.
And the best thing you do is kind of make this as kind of neutral. It was not flotation. You just didn't want to drag you down.
You could slide your Heeds bottle into any of these pouches or just wear it on the belt. Whatever works. But this is a weapons retention, not for the helo, but for actually retaining the weapon. I've got a Leatherman on there. Why not? Right side tourniquet, so I'd run a left side tourniquet somewhere else. Frag pouches, and this could be a mag or a smoke or a T-bomb or whatever you want.
Yeah, good auxiliary pouch there.
And then this is the last main setup that I wore. This is a Cry JPC. The new ones, the 2.0s, have like a zipper system on the back for big, elaborate backpack pouches. I never got that one. Cry also made the maritime version of this as well. That because the London Bridge was completely replaced by these, at least for a little while, and then eventually the big knockoff companies that just copy everybody and get the big contracts that are owned by the political elite. I think that's what they're issuing now. I don't know. It's probably Eagle or something like that. But this one is set up the same way as the Maritime. I took the knife off because I needed it for something else, and I don't plan on needing to cut up fruit and put it on cake anytime soon. But oddly enough, I've got the
way you had it. You still would have had it there, right?
Yeah. So now I've got the 10-speed Blue Force gear pouches, my favorite pouches, just in case I need them for extra mags. By the time I started wearing this, I'd been promoted out of having fun and being cool, or even if I ever was, but having to worry about carrying a ton of breaching equipment or sniper rifles, things like that. It just really wasn't a thing for me anymore. So I kind of changed things up a little bit. I wasn't worried about having to carry 2 or 3 different guns and then the different types of ammo. Yeah. Again, on the back, same thing, bladder pouch and then 2 charge pouches, the admin, ADA pouch there. Everything's pretty much the same.
Yeah, one thing about this that I like, because I get to see the evolution of this, even though I wasn't using it. When you're training guys, in order to get that good, shoulder position with your AR, this is a whole lot easier to deal with than this big padded mess right in here. Okay, that can become, it's from a training aspect. It's just so much more intuitive to do that than trying to find this big lump on your shoulder and trying to get your butt stock pinned.
Evolving. Guys would actually, for the reasons Coach just said, guys would take these pads off and you could put something much more streamlined on here, or just run it like this. Oftentimes you'd see, yeah, you just rip it all off and just have the strap for that same reason. I never did that. I never had an issue with it, but I wasn't trying to learn by the time these came out. Been doing it for a while. So the London Bridge model, made in Virginia Beach. That company has its foundational roots in naval special warfare. And then Cry, Caleb Cry, I got to meet once, cool guy. He's like an art student. He was like an artist, never in the service, but he, smart enough, he paired up with a bunch of, I think, Delta guys. And, you know, so both of these companies, you know, it's end user, you know, developing this stuff, and and they've really, you know, kind of taken over.
Yeah, a lot of with London Bridge, you know, when I was at the command, we'd make something specifically a pouch. You go to your rigger and say, I need this to carry this, whatever. And then the rigger would make the prototype, and then we'd test it, and you're like, okay, that's good. And, you know, for volume, you want to, you know, get that one of those pouches for everybody. The rigger's not going to make a bunch of those. So they just take that over to London Bridge and say, hey, make us a bunch of these. And next thing you know, it was in their catalog. So,
boom.
Yeah. Hey, good business model, man. I mean,
symbiotic relationship.
We were happy, and they made some money, so they must have been happy. Since then, so this is guys are still running around with similar stuff as this, right? And you know, it's even getting lighter. Again, the textile industry, you've got much lighter fabric that is just as strong. So there's more stuff out there. There's got to be a certain point where it's just, you know, how light you need to be, you know, fabric-wise. I mean,
yeah. And then S&S Precision, another Virginia Beach company, they had that kind of cool clip-in version of a plate carrier. I never personally used those, but those are pretty popular. Yeah. I think of the MAROPS combat diving side of the house that I haven't had anything to do with for quite a while.
S&S, those guys are, you know, former team guys that once they retired, they got out and said, hey, you know, if I only had one of these, it'd be really cool. And he's doing a real good job out there.
All right, guys, so that was part 2 of our plate carrier video. Hope you liked it. Just kind of giving you our opinions and showing you a little bit of the evolution and why things are the way they are, why we set things up the way we set them up. It all comes down to personal preference. You know, what works for you, you know, you just got to figure that out through taking the time and trying out new stuff. But, I mean...
Yeah, this is the evolution of what we went through in the military. You know, if you're going to build your own, there's new stuff out there now. I mean, like I said, light is right. Stay as light as you can. Have the pouches that you need and none that you don't. And they'll get you most of the way there. Anyway, if you like this content, like, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
All right, this is Dorr and Coach. Out.